Hi, kindergartners. Welcome back for chapter 19 of The Wizard of Oz. In the last chapter, if you remember, the wizard has flown off in the hot air balloon and he left Dorothy in Oz. He did not manage to take her with him. So they're not really sure what to do. The Scarecrow is now in charge of the Emerald City. And they're sitting there thinking, and they end up asking the soldier in the story what they suggest. They asked the flying monkeys, and the flying monkeys said, no, Dorothy, we can't carry you out of Oz. We're not allowed to go out of Oz. So they're sort of out of options. And this soldier suggests that they travel to the land of the South to visit Glinda, who is the good witch of the South. Now, the soldier does say it's a terrible country to travel through to get there. So that's sort of where we left off, is they're once again on another journey headed to try and find some way for Dorothy to get home. So chapter 19 is called Attacked by the Fighting Trees, which doesn't really sound that great of a start. The next morning, Dorothy kissed the pretty green girl goodbye, and they all shook hands with the soldier with the green whiskers, who had walked them as far as the gate. When the guardian of the gate saw them again, he wondered greatly why they would want to leave a beautiful city to get into new trouble. But he at once unlocked their spectacles, which he put back into the green box, and gave them many good wishes to carry with them. Well, you are now our ruler, he said to the Scarecrow, so you must come back as soon as possible. Well, I certainly shall if I am able, the Scarecrow replied, but I must help Dorothy to get home first. As Dorothy bade the good-natured guardian a last farewell, she said, I have been treated very kindly in your lovely city, and everyone has been good to me. I can't tell you how grateful I am. Well, don't try, my dear, he answered. We should like to keep you with us, but if it is your wish to return to Kansas, I hope you will find a way. He then opened the gate of the outer wall, and they walked forth and started upon their journey. The sun shone brightly as our friends turned their faces towards the land of the South. They were all in the best of spirits and laughed and chatted together. Dorothy was once more filled with the hope of getting home, and the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman were glad to be of use to her. As for the lion, he sniffed the fresh air with delight and whisked his tail from side to side in pure joy of being in the country again, while Toto ran around them and chased the moths and the butterflies, barking merrily all the time. City life does not agree with me at all, remarked the lion as they walked at a brisk pace. I've lost much flesh since I lived here, and now I'm anxious for a chance to show the other beasts how courageous I have grown. They now turned and took a last look at the Emerald City. All they could see was a mass of towers and steeples behind the green walls, and high up above everything, the spires and the dome of the Palace of Oz. Oh, Oz was not such a bad wizard after all, said the Tin Woodman, as he felt his heart rattling around in his chest. He knew how to give me brains, and very good brains too, said the Scarecrow. If Oz had taken a dose of the same courage he gave me, added the lion, he would have been a very brave man. Dorothy said nothing. Oz had not kept the promise he made her. He had done his best, so she forgave him. As he had said, he was a good man, even if he was a bad wizard. The first day's journey was through the green fields and bright flowers that stretched about the Emerald City on every side. They slept that night on the grass, with nothing but the stars over them, and they rested very well indeed. In the morning, they traveled on until they came to a thick wood. There was no way of going around it, for it seemed to extend to the right and to the left as far as they could see. And besides, they did not dare change the direction of their journey for fear of getting lost. So they looked for the place where it would be easiest to get into the forest. The Scarecrow, who was in the lead, finally discovered a big tree with such wide spreading branches that there was room for the party to pass underneath the branches. So he walked forward to the tree, but just as he came under the first branches, they bent down, twisted around him, and the next minute he was raised up from the ground and flung headlong among his fellow travelers. This, of course, did not hurt the Scarecrow, but it did surprise him, and he looked rather dizzy when Dorothy picked him up. "Here's another space between the trees," called the Lion. "Well, let me try it first," said the Scarecrow. "It doesn't hurt me to be thrown around." He walked up to another tree, and as he spoke, but its branches immediately seized him and again tossed him back at his friends. "Well, this is strange," exclaimed Dorothy. "What shall we do?" "Well, the trees seem to have made up their minds to fight us and stop our journey," remarked the Lion. "Oh, I believe I'll try it myself," said the woodman, and shouldering his axe, he marched up to the first tree that had handled the Scarecrow so roughly. When a big branch bent down to seize him, the woodman chopped it off so fiercely that he cut it right in two. All at once the tree began shaking all of its branches as if in pain, and the Tin Woodman passed safely under it. "Come on," he shouted to the others. "Be quick." They all ran forward and passed under the tree without injury, except Toto, who got caught by a small branch and shaken until he howled. But the woodman promptly chopped off the branch and set the little dog free. The other trees of the forest did nothing to keep them back, so they made up their minds that only the first row of trees could bend down their branches, and that probably these trees were the policemen of the forest, and given this power to keep strangers out of it. The four travelers walked with ease through the trees until they came to a farther edge of the wood. Then, to their surprise, they found before them a high wall, which seemed to be made of white china. White china is like what your plates are made out of. They're not see-through glass. They're like white glass. So if you drop a plate outside on the ground, it's going to shatter. But when you look at it on the inside, it's not clear glass like a glass you drink out of. It's white. So that's sort of called white china. So this wall that they walk up to is made out of basically a plate. It was smooth, like the surface of a dish, and higher than their heads. "Oh, what shall we do now?" asked Dorothy. "Well, I will make a ladder," said the Tin Woodman, "for we certainly must climb over this wall." And there's only this one picture of the forest. These trees that move actually do come out in the movie in some different times because everything in Oz is sort of magical. So we do see the trees that move. Let me see if there's a picture. Oh, yes, this is a lovely picture of the forest and the Scarecrow, of course, being thrown about. Thank goodness the Scarecrow went first. Can you imagine if that had been Dorothy or the Lion or Toto or the Tin Woodman? The Woodman would be badly bent, probably, but Dorothy and the Lion could have been seriously injured. So it was lucky that it was the Scarecrow that went first. And that's actually it for that chapter. So I don't have any pictures to show you from the movie because, once again, this part of the storybook isn't in the movie. They had to end the movie quicker. Movies can't go on and on and on. Imagine how long I've been reading this to you. Can you imagine if that's how long the movie was? We can't make movies as long as books. So that's why oftentimes there's characters and stories in the storybook that are left out of movies. And that's why a lot of times people say that the book is actually better because there's more to it. So you'll have to decide for yourself when we finish. But thank you for tuning in, and come back for the next chapter, which is chapter 20, which is called The Dainty China Country. All right, you guys, thanks. There's no place like home. Bye.